America does not want to fight this war for Israel.
Let's go. Come on, let's go.
America does not want to send its sons and daughters to war for Israel.
Many of you knew I was going to talk about this today. For those of you who are just joining the program and haven't watched very much at all, you may not know that I am a former United States Marine. Yesterday, one of my brothers in arms was attacked by a United States senator, rendering his arm snapped. He broke his fucking arm in an altercation that did not need to be an altercation by a United States senator who is not a cop. He's a stolen valor clown, former Navy SEAL, Tim Sheehy, an agent of Israel. We'll get to that because I believe that is what predicated this attack on Brian McGinnis, a candidate for office in North Carolina for the Green Party. Let me remind you, if you don't know, who Tim Sheehy is. He beat John Tester in this recent election for the United States Senate in the state of Montana, where there were controversies that swirled around his stolen valor, his claim that he had a gunshot wound from combat in Afghanistan, and it turned out he shot himself in the arm in a national park in Montana. So he's a fucking liar, stolen valor dipshit who now wants to play the hero and attack someone who is exercising their First Amendment right under the Constitution, protesting our illegal and unconstitutional war in Iran. Donald Trump's illegal and unconstitutional war in Iran. Here is just a brief, 2 paragraphs from the New York Times to get you acquainted with who Tim Sheehy is. A candidate for U.S. Senate says he was shot in war. Was he? Tim Sheehy, a Republican running for U.S. Senate in Montana, says he has a bullet in his arm from Afghanistan, but new questions have been raised about his account. A former SEAL colleague, Dave Madden, who had what he described as a close relationship with Sheehy before they deployed to Afghanistan, said that Mr. Sheehy never mentioned a gunshot wound to him and almost certainly would have done so in a conversation they had during their deployment if he had indeed been wounded. On the issue of the later injury in Montana, Kim Peach, a park ranger who spoke with Mr. Sheehy that day at the hospital, said Mr. Sheehy personally told him he had accidentally shot himself in the arm and handed over a revolver with a spent round. Quote, "I am 100% sure he shot himself that day," Mr. Peach said in an interview. And now he wants to play hero on home turf, on home soil, in a committee hearing yesterday for the Armed Services Committee. I don't normally give content warning or trigger warning, but this is a gruesome video where you can literally hear the arm of Brian McGinnis snap. In fact, the people in the room, in the committee hearing, gasp as it happens, ignoring what's taking place, but the people who are paying attention to what's going on, which can't be ignored. There are multiple police officers attempting to get Brian McGinnis out of the room. They don't need the assistance of a senator who thinks he's some kind of a bad, steely-eyed warrior. I guess there wasn't a gun in the room for him to shoot himself with, so he wanted to take it out on Brian McGinnis. Watch this, and again, toward the end is when the arm snaps. If you're not ready for it, this might not be the video for you.
Israel is the reason for this war. America does not want to fight this war for Israel.
Let's go. Come on, let's go.
America does not want to send its sons and daughters to war for Israel. Your inability to name that shows your exemptness as leaders. This is wrong. Stop. And nobody wants to fight for Israel. not, please stand up as a Marine and stand up for America. No one wants to fight for Israel. His head.
Sir, thank you for your service. Please,
The senator broke his hand.
He just broke his arm.
The senator broke his hand.
Commandant, help him, please.
Help him. Senator
Commandant.
the hand of a Marine.
He's a Marine. Somebody come help him.
Control your Senate committee.
Look at you guys. You're robots.
A U.S. senator.
You won't even look back.
Remarkable. Disgusting. Not your fucking job, stolen valor Tim Sheehy. He took to Twitter and explained his behavior, saying this: Capitol Police were attempting to remove an unhinged protester from the armed services hearing. He was fighting back. I decided to help out and de-escalate the situation. Is that what you call de-escalation, Mr. Shooting himself? This gentleman came to the Capitol looking for a confrontation, and he got one. I hope he gets the help he needs without causing further violence. He didn't cause violence in this case. Now, I think what really sparked the ire of Tim Sheehy is the fact that this began with him saying we don't need to be fighting Israel's war. We don't need to be attending to the agenda or the mission of Israel. Because even before Tim Sheehy took office, his first official act as a senator-elect was to run to Israel and make a video for AIPAC about how much solidarity he has and loyalty he has for the foreign nation of Israel.
I'm Tim Sheehy. I'm a recently elected U.S. Senator from the state of Montana, and I'm here as my first act as elected senator to show our allies in Israel and the broader allies throughout the Middle East that America still has a commitment to this region, and there's no question that America stands with Israel, stands with the men and women of Israel, and of course we'll do everything we can to make sure the IDF and the men and women of the IDF have the best gear, intelligence, technology, and support they have to get this done. And of course, we've seen recent events unfold continually, from the events in Syria to, of course, broader geopolitical events in the region, that this is still unfolding, and the next couple of years are going to be very pivotal for the future of the Middle East and the world. And we need to make clear that the United States has a strong, consistent foreign policy that projects strength and projects the certainty that we're going to be involved here. We're going to support our allies, most importantly, the men and women of Israel. I'd say finally, Israel's got a friend in me, and America's got your back 100%. And most importantly, we got to bring those hostages home tomorrow. We're not going to stop. We're not going to relent until we bring them home. We're going to have your back 100% as you pursue that aim, and it's an honor to be here.
He had been elected, but he hadn't even taken office yet. I'm here as my first act as elected senator to show our allies, Israel, that I'm with you. What? Why wasn't your first act as an elected senator to go to Canada or Mexico or Great Britain, some other ally? And of course, we'll do everything we can to make sure the IDF and the men and women of the IDF have the best gear, intelligence, technology, and support. They're a developed nation, a wealthy nation. Why do they need our money and our support and our intelligence? Where do your loyalties lie, former Navy SEAL, stolen valor Tim Sheehy? This United States Marine would like to know. This United States citizen would like to know. This neighbor, I don't know if you're originally from Montana. I have my doubts. But this neighbor in the region from Idaho originally, I'd like to know. And then finally, of course, we're going to support our allies. Most importantly, the men and women of Israel. That's what's most important. And I think this Israel thing is what sparked his ire. And if you're out there questioning whether or not this is the agenda of Israel, and we are attending to the business of Israel, if it is the mission of Israel, all you got to do is listen to what the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, another dipshit, what he said about what our mission is and who we're doing this for. Watch this.
To our steadfast partner, Israel, your mission is being executed with unmatched skill and iron determination. Fighting shoulder to shoulder with such a capable ally is a true force multiplier and a breath of fresh air. We salute your courage and your contribution.
To our steadfast partner, Israel, your mission is being attended to. Your mission is being executed with unmatched skill and iron determination. Your mission, Israel's mission. I didn't know that the United States of America intended under a Trump administration to be an errand boy for a foreign nation, entering into armed conflict with other nations illegally, unconstitutionally by our fraud, our convicted felon fucking president, and our drunken morning show host, Secretary of Defense, and our stolen valor senators who want to attack former United States Marines, snapping their arms for exercising their First Amendment rights under the Constitution. That's the act of a coward, of a whiny, sniveling simp, a lapdog for Donald Trump, a lapdog for Israel, the genocide nation of Israel. And now we are endeavoring to fulfill their mission, as Pete Hegseth says. Good on you, Brian McGinnis. We need more Brian McGinnises out there to raise their voice and exercise their constitutionally protected, not granted rights by the Constitution, but protection of our natural rights to speak up. What do you think? Obviously, I am back in my main studio today. I beat the construction outside the window here. I would love your feedback here, your participation in this conversation. Let's have it in the comments below the video.
So, Secretary Noem, at any time during your tenure as Director of Department of Homeland Security, have you had sexual relations with Corey Lewandowski?
I am back to talk about Corey Lewandowski and KRISTI Noem. Listen, I have been talking for a while about Corey Lewandowski's sordid affair with KRISTI Noem. The fact that he was living across the street from her until she moved into the commandant of the Coast Guard's house rent-free. And then he was caught there in the mornings taking out the trash. He's banging KRISTI Noem. And this creates all kinds of issues, and I'll get to them very quickly because I have two clips that I really want to share with you. Is this congresswoman yesterday, a Democratic congresswoman, really laid it all out on the table and asked her specifically, are you fucking Corey Lewandowski? Are you guys just getting to it all the time? In and out of the office, on your bedroom, on a plane. What are you doing? But let me explain why I believe it is critically important that she is not able to be blackmailed by a hostile foreign power. Anytime anybody gets a top secret security clearance in the military, I only know about the military because I had a top secret clearance in the United States Marine Corps. They check your credit. They look at your background. I had FBI agents going and talking to my principal from high school and shit like that. They go deep to find out if you're compromisable. Do you have a debt that would go beyond the norm? Do you have bad credit? Can you be blackmailed? Can you be pressured? Can you be cajoled to turn against your country? Well, it appears as though KRISTI Noem is in that situation. She is having a sordid affair with a man who is not her husband. Publicly, it seems, while denying it. And yesterday she was asked this specifically. I have two clips. The second involves the actual question and her answer. You will be not surprised that she does not answer no. It's a lot of crosstalk, but there's not a no in there. But first, I want to give you this Congresswoman's setup for the question, explaining exactly why it is important to have the answer. This isn't about just idle gossip, as KRISTI NOEM tried to characterize it. This is about the safety and security of the United States. She's not the Interior Secretary. She's the Secretary of Homeland Security. And if she's fucking one of her subordinates, we need to know. Here's the setup before the question.
Why then, is the question, have you made Corey Lewandowski your de facto chief of staff who possesses an unchecked level of power at DHS? Under your leadership, this person has done things like fire your FEMA administrator while sitting behind your desk, which is your job to do, lobby to build the controversial detention facility known as Alligator Alcatraz, which has turned into a legal boondoggle costing Florida millions, and have veto and reviewing and signing power over large DHS contracts and grants, which again is your job. DHS has critical agency components like the Secret Service, FEMA, Border Patrol, cybersecurity. So does Corey Lewandowski have national security experience, military experience, law enforcement experience? No. He is a lobbyist, a failed campaign manager, which is causing my constituents who are waiting for their FEMA dollars and me to wonder what are his qualifications for this job. So according to the Wall Street Journal, you and Mr. L have a close relationship that has made President Trump, quote, uncomfortable. The president reportedly denounced Corey Lewandowski as your chief of staff due to reports of a romantic relationship between the two of you. So instead, you designated him as a special government employee, a position he has had well beyond the allowed 130 days and requires him to disclose if he is making money off of his position. Trump knows that this guy is shady. Corey has a decades-long record of physical battery, sexual harassment, illegal lobbying for a Venezuelan oil company, and bringing a loaded gun into a federal building. Despite being fired or removed from virtually every position he has ever held due to misconduct, he now wields unchecked, unconfirmed, undisclosed power over your department. This person has no experience running anything close to Department of Homeland Security or even advising someone in your position. He is unqualified, which again has left my constituents and I wondering why he is your top official.
All of that is valid. All of that is real. That is a reality-based view of what is coming, which is this question right here. She doesn't put it like me. Are you fucking Corey Lewandowski? Are you guys banging on the rag? She doesn't say that. She says, at any point in your tenure at the Department of Homeland Security, have you had sexual relations with Corey Lewandowski? That question that I'm getting ready to play followed exactly what you just watched in the previous clip. Actually, let me do this. I just had the thought as I was cutting to the clip. There's a lot of crosstalk where Christina was just blah, 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 while the Congresswoman's trying to talk, gobbling up her time and maybe other things. I don't think Corey Lewandowski was in the room, so her gobbling was only the time of the Congresswoman. But if you want to skip ahead and skip through all the crosstalk, just look at the timer up in the top and you can scan through, because it's at the very end that the Congresswoman really elucidates that I didn't hear a no, again, in different language, but that's what she's getting at. Now go ahead, watch this.
So Secretary Noem, at any time during your tenure as Director of Department of Homeland Security, have you had sexual relations with Corey Lewandowski?
Mr. Chairman, I am shocked that we're going down and peddling tabloid garbage in this committee today.
Reclaiming
and
my
ma'am,
time.
one thing that I would tell you is that he is a special government employee who works for the White House. There are thousands of them in the federal government.
So reclaiming
and
my
is an
time,
advisor
Secretary, it is
and has
okay for
no,
you to be
no
offended
authority
by
to
the
be
question.
making any
It is
decisions.
okay for you to
has
be
no
offended
authority
by the
to
question.
be making
But it is
decisions
also
and
a
putting
real
up your
question.
position. So what I would say
And
to
you should be able to
is
answer
that
the
what we do
question
at the Department of Homeland Security
clearly
every single day.
And without any hesitation.
Every single day is to protect
if
this
someone
country
is
and
asking
to make
if
decisions.
you or any federal official is sleeping with their subordinate, that should be the easiest. You should be wanting to answer that question.
Is garbage?
Because it is not about
It is
your sex
offensive
life.
that you have brought
It is
that up.
about your
So
judgment.
that kind of garbage
It is
has
about
been refuted
reclaiming
for
my
years,
time so
and
that
you
I
need
can
to
hear myself.
recognize-
Time belongs to the gentlelady from California, but it'd be nice if you would let her respond.
I will. I want to let you know it is about your judgment and decision-making. It is about the 260,000 employees that work under you that want to make sure that you are giving information and making decisions clearly. It is about conflict of interest. It is about a national security risk. Department of Homeland Security was created right after 9/11 to protect the homeland. And DHS has circulated an internal bulletin to law enforcement partners warning that the conflict of the war we're in could inspire lone actors or small-scale cyber activity inside the United States, according to a memo obtained by ABC News. So American lives are at risk. The people who work for you are at risk. And they want to know that the person at the top, you, are making decisions clearly without any sort of cloudiness, and that they're your decisions because you're the secretary who was confirmed.
Look, this is an easy one. If someone came to me and said, are you having an affair with X, Y, and Z? Are you cheating on Brittany Page? The answer would be no, emphatically. And then I would attend to, where'd you get this bullshit? Why are you trying to distract from whatever issue we're supposed to be talking about here? But the first answer would be, no, I am not. You didn't hear enough. You heard, it's garbage, but you didn't hear, no, I am not. These people project the image of righteousness, of being mighty, righteous women of God and men of God and followers of Jesus the Christ. Now, all too often, they say, I'm not perfect, I'm just forgiven, which is kind of the go-to explanation for bad behavior of a lot of white evangelical Christians, these white nationalist types. But they're just hypocrites. She's continuing to live in sin while projecting an image of someone who loves and reveres and follows and adheres to the teachings of the philosophies of Jesus Christ. While fucking Corey Lewandowski on a bedroom of a $70 million plane that we're paying for. Yeah, see, my notes. Are you fucking Corey Lewandowski? Yeah, this is the notes. This is what it looks like. Zoom in on that, Chris. That's it. Everything else I said was just off the cuff. See? More behind the scenes, how the sausage is made, right here on the Dollemore Daily. Anyway, what do you think? I invite you to this conversation. Let's have it in the comments below this video. You can also call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me, daily@dollemore.com. This should not bring me this much joy, but it does. Maybe I'm just that petty.
For 47 years, we were pushed around. You want to say something really fast? I have to go back and look at the war.
When you have a president who is a convicted felon and a fraudster and a schemester and a sociopath and has mental cognition issues, someone who's a draft dodger who never served, who doesn't understand the import of war, the dangers of war. To him, everything is a reality TV show. You got a problem when that's the situation. And that is the situation we have in our hands. Yesterday, Donald Trump was given this roundtable discussion where he signed an executive order at the end because, he doesn't rule like a normal president that signs legislation passed by his Congress. There's none of that. They don't get anything done. They're not looking to make your life better. Everything is by edict of the king. And look, executive orders are great, but they need to be used sparingly and judiciously, not like Donald Trump wants to govern as a dictator. He has said in recent weeks, I don't need the Congress. I don't need to work with Congress, which is Not the way our system of government works. But yesterday during this roundtable, I have two clips for you. One, and they're both about how flippantly he's dealing with and talking about this particular war. This war that is a war. All other Republicans say it's not a war, but at every turn, in every moment, in every public appearance, Donald Trump calls it a war. So who are we going to trust? Lindsey fucking Graham, Ted fucking Cruz, or Donald Trump, who is, after all, the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the United States? Now, let's get to the point here. This first clip is Donald Trump explaining that how amazing a thing, it's an amazing, amazing thing, the war in Iran that has killed already nearly 10 American service members. It's an amazing thing. And then he brags about rebuilding the military, which he didn't do in his first term. And then he goes on to explain that we were 2 weeks away from a nuclear weapon, doubling down on the fact that he or the claim that he obliterated the Iranian nuclear program, total obliteration, which completely takes him out from under the legs out from under him about the claims that that's why we're there now is to prevent them from getting a nuclear weapon, which other Republicans say they were a week away, they were a month away, that's why we were there, we don't want them dropping bombs. J.D. Vance has said as much. Watch this first clip, and in the second clip, there's going to be a whole lot of ass kissing and then Donald Trump rushing them along to get to his nap before he says, I need to go, I have to go back to look at the war, really putting it in perspective that he thinks this is just a TV show that he's watching. First, watch this nonsense that started the meeting off.
And it's an amazing thing that's taking place before your eyes, because for 47 years we were pushed around and we shouldn't have been. And I think I can say, and you see it as well as I do, you see the tremendous progress that's being made. Their missiles are being wiped out rapidly. Their launchers are being wiped out. They're attacking their neighbors. They're attacking their, in some cases, allies, or not so long ago allies. And, you know, it's really a nation that was out of control, and they would have used it on us if we let them, if we waited any longer. A big factor was Soleimani, the killing of Soleimani in my first term. And maybe the biggest factor was the rebuilding of the military in my first term. And then the B-2s hit the, and I use the word obliterate because it really was a complete obliteration of their nuclear potential. And that set them back very, very seriously. If we didn't hit within 2 weeks, they would have had a nuclear weapon. If we didn't do the B-2 attack a number of months ago, they would have a nuclear weapon. And when crazy people have nuclear weapons, bad things happen. So we're in very good shape now. I want to let you know that, and we will continue forward. But it's a great display of military strength, and I'm very proud to have, with some of the people in the room, both senators and congressmen, we rebuilt, and women, we rebuilt our military during the first term.
Look, I transcribe everything to know exactly what was said, but there was so much there that I only put it in the bold here, the things that I think are important. And these things are just wild, that this room filled with leaders, there are senators and Congress people in there. There are heads of corporations. There are movers and shakers and high level admin officials in this room. And he says this: it's an amazing, amazing thing that's taking place before your eyes, because for 47 years, we were pushed around and we shouldn't have been. We were pushed around by Iran. We were pushed around by Iran. What are you talking about, dipshit? We're not pushed around by anybody. Maybe Israel we're pushed around by. After all, we are attending to the mission of Israel in this war, which is what Pete Hegseth said. They're attacking their neighbors. They're in some cases, attacking allies. Does that sound familiar, Donald Trump? Attacking our allies? Up to this point, it's only been rhetorical attacks on our allies and economic attacks on our allies. But you haven't taken military action against Greenland, which is a territory of Denmark. You haven't taken that off the table. You are poised to attack militarily our peaceful allies. Yet you bemoan Israel for doing the same. It's all bad. Iran, excuse me. You're bemoaning them doing the same because Israel also does the same. I guess that's where it came from. And then the biggest factor was rebuilding the military in the first term. And I use the word obliterate because it really was. It was complete obliteration of their nuclear potential. That's the key word there. And look, I know Donald Trump is not a wordsmith. He's not a smith of anything other than maybe raping kids. This is the problem here, that we obliterated their nuclear potential, which means they could never have a nuclear weapon again because he obliterated the potential. And yet here we are, American service members, one after the other, dying because of Donald Trump's illegal, unconstitutional war. And then the chef's kiss from Donald Trump. And when crazy people have nuclear weapons, bad things happen. That should be the scariest sentence ever uttered by Donald Trump because he is our crazy person and he has nuclear weapons, a massive arsenal, a too large of an arsenal of nuclear weapons at his disposal. And more shockingly, more alarmingly, is he doesn't have anybody in place around him to say no. Now, second clip. At the very end of the thing, he's champing at the bit to get out of the room. He is desperate for a nap. You could see as he talks, his eyes are closed. He's doing the thing that he does. But he has to go around the room and give everybody a chance to pucker up and tongue at his taint, you know, as it is in a cabinet meeting or any other place that Donald Trump is. And it's going to start with Katie Britt. Look at the adoration and love in her eyes before he cuts to that dipshit former Navy SEAL from Wisconsin, Vanderson. What the hell is his name? I can't even think of it. I'll think of it after the clip. I'll tell you who it is. The drunkard, the guy who's like attacking pages in the rotunda. Just a nightmare, but also not a leader. He's a total follower and sycophant of Donald Trump, who's just heaping praise on Donald Trump. He's being rushed along before Donald Trump says, I need to go watch my war on TV.
So, Mr. President, thank you for making sure that Americans were put first and that this progress is not at their expense, but is rather to their benefit.
Yep, that's right. Very quickly, Derek.
Mr. President, I have to tell you something. You're the only person in the world that could put together this coalition. You are the only person in the world. I hope the American people understand what we're talking about here today. You're meshing high tech with the hammer. You're putting these guys with the hard hats with the 100-pound brain nerds, and that's gonna be the future. Sorry, I love you guys. And so, Mr. President, the thing that the American people need to understand is that you're not thinking about an election cycle. You're thinking about the next generation. And what you're doing today by having this coalition of people is making sure that the future generations, our children, are not going to have to be concerned about losing a war. And that means so much, especially in this time now. If people really take a step back and appreciate this is actual visionary leadership, and it's going to take care long before or long after we're all gone, sir. Your efforts today are going to make America great into the foreseeable future. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Derek. You're doing a great job. Bernie, I think you're okay. You want to say something really fast, Bernie?
Thank you.
He gets my vote. He gets my vote. I have to go back and look at the war. You know, we have a lot of things happening. Thank you, Bernie. You're doing a great job. Please. This is Will Scharf. Go ahead, Will. You have anything to say?
I think it's been pretty comprehensively covered by all the speakers you've had today, sir, but you're going to be signing a proclamation announcing the Ratepayer Protection Pledge. This is going to ensure American AI dominance in the years ahead.
Derek Van Orden. That's his name. Darren Van Orden. I mean, and he's not a senator. I think I said senator earlier because I had senator on the brain from Katie Britt. Derek Van Orden from Wisconsin, who's a congressman. Just loves to get his tongue and lips and mouth around Donald Trump's junk. Just a weird thing that we have in this country with these Republicans who worship at the throne of their dear leader and a wannabe an autocrat, dictator type in Donald Trump, who does possess unheralded power as president of the United States relative to the military might that we possess. Anyway, all of this should be alarming. All of this should signal to somebody somewhere, some adult in the room in the administration, that we need to start preparing to the 25th Amendment Donald Trump before he dies in his sleep from the rotting neck rash that he has, or the rotting hand that he has, or the bloated ankle and legs that he has, and the leg that he drags along that everybody just ignores because the emperor's new clothes are beautiful. Right. Anyway, what do you think? I invite you to talk about this in the comments. Let's have a conversation there.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody, indeed. See you never. Welcome to this emergency, unexpected, kind of unexpected episode of the Dollemore Daily. I am Jesse Dollemore, your prognosticator. KRISTI NOEM, I predicted weeks ago, would be fired, and I was dragged, and I was mocked, and I was disagreed with in the comments, not just by MAGA folks either. There were a lot of people who are allies or similar thinkers who disagreed and thought, that's never going to happen. Well, it happened. She might not even know that it happened yet, but it happened. Donald Trump posted this on Truth Social. But before I get to this, I want to share what I said to my count 5 weeks and 2 days ago. I predicted that 6 to 8 weeks from then, she would be fired. I said it wouldn't be a flame out, and it most certainly it wasn't, because Donald Trump is a coward who couldn't do it to her face. He couldn't even write her a letter to tell her. He posted on Truth Social, not even that she's fired, just that the next Homeland Security Secretary will be Markwayne Mullin. Yeah. And he touts his experience as an MMA fighter, apparently. But before I do, I want to play this very brief, 1:44 of me predicting it at the top of the show on January 27th. But the more important part of this isn't just me tooting my own horn. It's certainly that. I mean, who are we kidding? It is also the fact that right now we have a fight on our hands because this is a Senate confirmation situation. Markwayne Mullin, who has less experience at this than even KRISTI NOEM, because he's never been an executive of his state. He was a congressman. He's a plumber. He was a congressman, and now he's a senator. No experience whatsoever. The only experience he has is puckering his lips and placing them on the asshole of Donald Trump. That's it. That's what guarantees him the nomination from Donald Trump. But it does not guarantee him the confirmation from the Senate. And this is where we are going to have to be feverishly calling our senators to vote no on this dipshit. But before I get to that, again, I know I keep saying before I get to that and then not getting there. Here is from January 27th of 2026, when I predicted, the top of the show predicted it, and at the end of the show, I sliced them together for you, so you didn't have to go rewatch the video, of exactly what we're dealing with here, and also some other predictions that may or may not have come true, depending on your interpretation of the situation. Let's go back in time to January 27th. So it's not just the half-pint Nazi Greg Bovino who's on his way out. It appears, and I believe, KRISTI NOEM will shortly be exiting the administration as well, because Donald Trump doesn't have loyalty to anyone. If anybody gets in the way of the administration of his agenda, he will jettison them. And KRISTI NOEM has been absolutely loyal to the fascism. It looks like she's on her way out. And the reason she's on her way out is because the administration is now under fire from journalists and MAGA alike about how she's doing her job. And the MAGA trolls who have the memory of a fucking goldfish are going to say, no, no, no. And then when she's not fired in a week, they'll say, you see, she wasn't fired. But let me tell you, in a month or so, let's give it 6 weeks, 8 weeks. they're going to find a way for her to leave. It's going to be she wants to spend more time with her family, whether that be Corey Lewandowski or her actual husband, who knows. An excuse will be made. It's not going to be a flame out, but she will go. She will depart. And this will be a chance for the Senate to actually do the right fucking thing. Many Democrats voted to confirm KRISTI Noem, even though she was wildly unqualified for the position. And they need to put up a front of no to anyone unless they are overwhelmingly qualified and willing to do the job, actually do the job, not the bidding of Donald Trump with his masked secret police force filled with Proud Boy Nazi fucks who are an assassination execution squad. Look, I know it's braggadocious and it's arrogant or whatever to do the toot and the horn thing. I do it for a number of different reasons. One, I'm always honest with you how I do things. If I'm telling you to make a comment, it's for the algorithm. I'm starting to be more in the comments, but I'm a pretty honest guy. My thumbnails are not deceptive. My titles are not deceptive. I don't use AI. I'm just what you see is what you get, and it's honest. So that's obviously, it's part of it is an ego thing because I want to be perceived as credible. I want to be perceived as correct about things. But the other thing is that we need to start thinking strategically and reading between the lines and understanding with a wise interpretation of things. I predicted this weeks ago, not because I'm some brilliant prognosticator or genius or a political savant. It's because when the administration starts speaking in a certain way to distance themselves or disavow understanding that KRISTI Noem was putting out there, it tells you what you need to know. And then Greg Bovino got fired. And then Tom Homan, KRISTI Noem's enemy, got sent to Minnesota. All of the tea leaves were there, if you will. So we need to start being more intelligent about how we analyze politics. That's the main reason. I mean, the main reason probably is ego, but the secondary reason is that reason. So listen, when I said that there wasn't going to be a flame out, that it's not going to be some flame out, I could get where somebody could disagree with me on that, but I think I was right there too, for the fact that it didn't come in a fiery Oval Office meeting where she was shit canned. It didn't come in a letter even or some administration official telling her. It came from this True Social post. And I know that because KRISTI Noem just finished a press conference that lasted several minutes. And she was asked questions, not by journalists, but by cops and shit, because that's what the meeting was. And they're all lathering her up and what a great job you're doing. And I just wanted to say, blah, 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 blah. And she got all the way to the end of this thing, still standing there representing as the Secretary of Homeland Security, and didn't know she had been shit canned by Donald Trump because he is so weak. There is no leadership there. I mean, if he was a good and decent man or president, he would call her in and say, listen, KRISTI, you're not living up to the expectations that we have here in this administration, the high standards that we have for cabinet secretaries. You're fucking your assistant. You're stealing from the government. You're managing execution squads of masked secret police, assassinating citizens and kidnapping 5-year-olds. This we cannot have. Well, of course, most of that is what Donald Trump wants, so he's not going to say that. But you get the point. Donald Trump is a coward, just a quivering, quaking weakling. And he fires her. Did I play the clip of the press conference? I haven't even played it. Here is just a 45 seconds at the very end of the press conference where she does not know she's fired and thinks she's still Secretary of Homeland Security.
Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you for letting me be with you. You have a fantastic meeting. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for coming to this conference and spending some time together. I hope you get some fellowship. From what I understand, cops are pretty good at that. So you have fun. I'm sorry I can't stick around for it, but God bless you. And may God continue to bless our great country. Have a great day.
Bye, everybody, indeed. Bye, everybody. See you never. So here is the post from Donald Trump, our quaking coward of a president of the United States. He sent this at 1:41 p.m. Eastern Time. I am pleased to announce that the highly respected United States Senator from the great state of Oklahoma, Markwayne Mullin, will become the United States Secretary of Homeland Security, DHS, effective March 31st, 2026. The current secretary, KRISTI Noem, who has served us well and has had numerous and spectacular results, especially on the capital B border, will be moving to special envoy for the Shield of the Americas, our new security initiative in the Western Hemisphere we are announcing on Saturday in Doral, Florida. I thank KRISTI for her service at Homeland. And then he goes through, and I'm not going to read the whole thing about the abject moron dipshit Markwayne Mullin, but let me read the MMA, get to the MMA part. Serving 10 years in the United States House of Representatives and 3 in the Senate, Markwayne has done a tremendous job representing the wonderful people of Oklahoma, where I won all 77 of 77 counties in 2016, 2020, and 2024. A MAGA warrior and former undefeated professional MMA fighter, blah, blah, blah. As though being an MMA fighter makes you uniquely qualified to be the director, the secretary of Homeland Security. Now, the number for the Capitol switchboard, which you need to start calling and ringing off the hook, especially if you have a Republican senator, is 202-224-3121. That's a number I have memorized, and you should have it memorized too. 202-224-3121. I live in DC, so, we're still using cell phones, have to call with the area code. That's the number. Call it. Tell your senator that you do not approve of the confirmation of the nomination of Markwayne Mullin, who is unqualified, who is just a boot-licking sycophant, the likes of which we already know because KRISTI Noem was one too. We need someone, as I said in the clip where I predicted, someone who's going to actually do the job of Secretary of Homeland Security, actually protect the homeland and its inhabitants. And that doesn't just mean white Christian Americans. It means all of us. Everyone who lives here needs to be safe and protected. So I guess I'm right. I still need to get the whiteboard in here somewhere where I can start listing my predict. I had to search for when this video was. I should have crowdsourced. You guys would have helped me, right? Anyway, what do you think? I would appreciate your feedback on all of this. Am I being too arrogant? Am I being too braggart? Should I stop with the predictions? Am I right? Am I wrong? Give me some shit. Give me some praise. You could do it in the comments below the video. You could also call the voicemail line 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. There's still a couple of, I did 3 different KRISTI Noem videos today. I should have figured this would be the day that she gets shit canned. Anyway, I love and appreciate you very much. If you appreciate me and you want to help support and produce this work, you can produce this show right here for $2 a month, becoming a channel member on YouTube. Click the join button, see what's involved, or even better, go to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast and help support my work there. I love and appreciate you very much. Bye, KRISTI Noem.
Bye, everybody.
Apparently, when your special blanket, your blankie, was left on one of the government jets and not transported over to the new one, your special government employee, Corey Lewandowski, chivalrously stepped forward to fire the pilot midair.
This video that I'm getting ready to play for you, this clip of Jamie Raskin, should be a monument to how to conduct yourself in a congressional hearing. It should be on a marble pillar with a golden TV so Donald Trump will watch it. He loves the gold. And like a golden frame around it, like in a museum exhibit where you just click play and it plays into the headphones that you walk around in a museum hearing about all the exhibits. And then it tells you this about KRISTI Noem. He outlined exactly the situation we are in with KRISTI Noem as the Secretary of Homeland Security in the most adroit powerful, effective way that I've ever seen from a congressman. This is remarkable. It highlights the fraud. It highlights the self-dealing. It highlights the criminality. It highlights the conflicts of interest. It highlights all of it. And I am here gleefully, excitedly to share this with you. Share this with others. Whether you share this video here or you go find this particular clip on social media and just repost that thing. This is important. Watch Jamie Raskin, a man I very much admire and respect, and I think you should too, and I think you will after this clip.
Like a personal slush fund, you budgeted an astonishing $220 million for media consultant contracts so you can star in self-promoting photo shoots and lavish ad campaigns like this one of you riding horseback at Mount Rushmore, which was shot during last year's government shutdown. You're living rent-free in the official waterfront residence reserved for the Commandant of the U.S. Coast Guard. You spent $172 million to buy not one, but 2 luxury jets for your travel, and now you're using taxpayer funds to lease a 3rd jet, a $70 million luxury 737 MAX with a queen-size bedroom in the back, a deluxe serving bar, and 4 flat-screen TVs. A big, beautiful jet paid for by the big, beautiful bill. Yesterday, under questioning the Senate, you said you plan to refurbish this jet to make it into this kind of airplane, which is what's actually being used for deportations in order to save the taxpayers' money. In other words, you're saying that's actually a deportation plane, but wouldn't it have been cheaper just to buy a deportation plane in the first place? It's like buying a Rolls Royce to turn into a Metro bus. I was almost prepared to buy that story of how the jet was both for executive travel and mass deportation. And then I heard about an airborne episode of entitlement, arrogance, and contempt that I could hardly believe. Apparently, when your special blanket, your blankie, was left on one of the government jets and not transported over the new one, your special government employee, Corey Lewandowski, chivalrously stepped forward to fire the pilot midair, a 2003 Coast Guard Academy graduate and distinguished U.S. Coast Guard commander in Air Station, Washington, D.C. But then he had to be rehired immediately because there was no one else who could fly the two of you on the rest of the journey back home.
And there's no way to push back against any of that, against a single word or claim that was made, because it is all true. There's not a single even iota, scintilla, molecule of exaggeration there. Everything he said is right. She's living in the Coast Guard Commandant's house over here on Joint Base Bowling, or whatever it's called. It used to be called Bowling Air Force Base back when I lived here before, when I worked for the Senate. Now they've consolidated all these bases. I think it's Joint Base Bowling. That's where she lives, rent-free in the house of the Commandant of the Coast Guard, who, where's that guy now? Or that lady now? I don't know who the Coast Guard of the Commandant is. The $220 million, the $250 million ad campaign that we've been talking about the last few days, that enriched her former, she didn't need to be a government employee now because her husband just made $220 million off the Department of Homeland Security. So Tricia McLaughlin, boo, she pieced out. Yeah, why stick around and endure the slings and arrows of the opponents of fascism when you can just luxuriate with your cash? Our cash. The $172 million to buy 2 luxury jets, one of which has a bedroom in it that she can get down and get dirty with Corey Lewandowski in private while they fly from place to place, monitoring the execution squads that are killing American citizens in the streets for exercising their First Amendment rights under the Constitution. All of this is right. All of this is true. All of this is real. And she had nothing to say. She has nothing to say to refute it, to rebut it, to deny it, because she can't. The fraud, waste, and abuse party continues their cycle of fraud, waste, and abuse, of murder, of torture, of kidnapping. of fascism. Anyway, thank you, Representative Jamie Raskin of Maryland, just northeast of D.C. Had to do it in my head with the map. I appreciate you very much, sir. Good work as always. You don't need my kudos. Big brain on Jamie Raskin. Anyway, what do you think? I would appreciate hearing from you. You can comment below. You can also call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me, daily@dollemore.com. I would ask this: if you appreciate what I do and the stories that I choose to talk about on a daily basis, if they bring you value, please consider supporting this work. You can do so for as little as $1.99 per month by becoming a channel member on YouTube. Click the join button below the video or just on the channel generally. A better way, that's a good way, but a better way, mildly better, is Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/IDoubtItPodcast, pick a tier and help support this work. Very important. I believe, well, of course, I believe it's important. It's what I do. But if you also share that opinion, you can help support and produce the work.
Yeah, as you know, we cover the deaths of U.S. service members under every president. The press does only want to make the president look bad. That's a fact, especially you. No, listen to me.
Karoline Leavitt and Caitlin Collins from CNN got into a little mix-up yesterday in the press briefing that I want to share with you. But it's about something, and I'm going to play the clip later of Pete Hegseth saying the thing that he said. But Pete Hegseth is being very flippant about the deaths of American service members during the while Donald Trump conducts his war against Iran, his illegal and unconstitutional war. No, Congress has not declared war, has not given Donald Trump permission, as is written and defined and declared and demanded and required of the Constitution of the United States. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 11 of the United States Constitution, if you want to look it up. And Pete Hegseth is like, look, all you want to do is report on the deaths. Yeah, well, deaths are going to happen. Why don't you report on the overwhelming success of this mission? They want these journalists to be state propagandists. And when Caitlin Collins, not in those words, because it's CNN after all, and CNN, if you think it's bad now, it's getting to be way worse when they merge with CBS and it's run by Barry Weiss. It's going to be a fucking nightmare. But it's not yet. Caitlin Collins asked this question about, what do you expect us to report on if you don't want us to report on the deaths of American troops? And her answer is just a hollow-brained moron answer. I guess that really highlights that I have a hollow brain. I don't even know if the mic's picking that up. It sounds like a dong, 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 like an empty bell being rung right now, me knocking on my head. But Caitlin Collins asked this. I mean, she's effectively asking, do you want us to just be propagandists for the state? Do you want us to be the North Korean lady in the pink who's like, oh, the dear leader? And Karoline Leavitt effectively says, yeah, that's what we want. We want you to just report the things that we want you to report. It's remarkable. Watch this.
Is going to attend the dignified transfer for these families. Given what Secretary Hegseth said this morning, is it the position of this administration that the press should not prominently cover the deaths of U.S. service members?
No, it's the position of this administration that the press in this room and the press across the country should accurately report on the success of Operation Epic Fury and the damage it is doing to the rogue Iranian regime that has threatened the lives of every single American in this room. If the Iranian regime had their choice, they would kill every single person in this room. And so we can all be very grateful that we have an administration and that we have men and women in our armed forces who are willing to sacrifice their own lives for the rest of us in this room and for every American across the country and for every troop that is based in the Middle East. That's what these...
Secretary Hegseth was complaining that it was front page news about these 6 service members who were killed.
That's not what the Secretary said, Caitlin, and that's not what the Secretary meant, and you know it. You know you are being disingenuous. There is not... We've never had a Secretary of Defense who cares more.
Drones get through or tragic things happen. It's front page news. I get it. The press only wants to make the president look bad. Yeah, as you know, we cover the deaths of U.S. service members under every president.
The press does only want to make the president look bad. That's a fact. Especially you. No, listen to me. Especially you and especially CNN. And the Secretary of of Defense cares deeply about our war fighters and our men and women in uniform. He travels all across this country to meet with them, to connect with them, and your network has hardly ever probably reported on that. You also had the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Chairman Kane, who's a brave patriot, standing alongside the secretary at the Pentagon this morning, again expressing his condolences to these families. And I just told you that the President of the United States will be attending their dignified transfer. So please,
That's not making the president look bad. That's showcasing that.
We expect you to cover that as you should. We expect you to cover that as you should, Caitlin. But you and your network know that you take every single thing this administration says and tries to use it to make the president look bad. That is an objectable fact.
I don't think covering troop deaths is trying to make
If you're trying to argue right now that CNN's overwhelming coverage is not negative of President Donald Trump, I think the American people would tend to agree, and your ratings would tend to disagree with that as well.
They expect, they demand loyalty to the regime. That the free and fair press, the constitutionally protected free press, must do as the regime desires. Do not report when an American citizen, an American uniform-wearing military member is killed in combat operations. Do not report on that. Report on all the other good things that are happening that Donald Trump is seen to have happen. If you find a good thing, let me know. But the thing, the underlying, the overarching, the predicate for this question is this moment from like a day or two ago where Pete Hegseth literally said, I'll tell you what, I'll repeat what he says after he says it. Here's the drunken morning show host, Pete Hegseth, bemoaning and attacking the press over reporting on soldiers, National Guard in this case, or Army reservists in this case, who were killed because of Donald Trump's illegal war.
This is what the fake news misses. We've taken control of Iran's airspace and waterways without boots on the ground. We control their fate. But when a few drones get through or tragic things happen, it's front page news. I get it. The press only wants to make the president look bad, but try for once to report the reality. The terms of this war will be set by us at every step.
Again, performing for an audience of one. I mean, he might as well be out there just tickling his ding dong for Donald Trump to amuse him, because this is what he's doing here. All he's doing is putting on a show because he knows Donald Trump is at home eating fiddle faddle, watching TV. I don't know if he's a fiddle faddle guy. Pretty good though. He says this: we've taken control of Iran's airspace and waterways without boots on the ground. But when a few drones get through or tragic things happen, it's front page news. Do you not believe that it should be front page news when an American service member dies in combat in an illegal, unconstitutional war, Pete? You drunken fucko? You don't think we should know about it? You don't think it should be front page news when an American who sacrificed their life dies? Seems pretty important to me, brother. But not to the Trump regime. All they want is power, might, lethality. They want jingoistic patriotism, fake patriotism. They don't care about the men and women in uniform who will ultimately die in this conflict. Hundreds, maybe thousands who will die in this protracted, no mission, no set strategy, no objective, no end state, no underlying predicate for why we're there, no justification for the incursion, for the invasion, for the murder of Iranian state leaders. And I'm not crying tears for them. These are fundamentalist freaks, sponsors of terror. But we are not a terrorist nation, are we? We operate with guidelines and strictures, rules and regulations, a constitution. And as long as we have that, right? Anyway, what do you think? Where am I wrong? I am free. I am open to the dissent. I am open to the abuse of the MAGA trolls. I have no choice but to be. What do you think? You can comment below. You can also call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. I love and appreciate you very much. Thanks for engaging with this content. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're liking and following the Facebook page, Dollemore Daily. I'd appreciate it very much.
You want the American people to believe that this is all above board?
Yes,
that $143 million of taxpayer money just happened to go to this one company that doesn't have a headquarters, doesn't have a website, has never done work for the federal government before.
KRISTI Noem's fraud, her stealing, her theft of tax dollars was exposed yesterday. Joe Neguse, I think his last name is pronounced Neguse. I apologize if it's not. He forced KRISTI Noem into admitting that she's stealing our tax dollars. I mean, there's no other way to really look at this when you watch what took place yesterday, where he outlines the fraud, he outlines the self-dealing, he outlines the rampant public conflicts of interest and leaves her stymied. Again, we've got a few members of Congress who I don't always agree with policy-wise, but the thing I do agree with them on is their ability to force moments like this in committee, which aren't just for clicks and clout. This is for communicating to the American people the very real problem we have on our hands with the Donald Trump administration and all of these criminals he's put in place around him. The most sycophantic bootlickers and yes men and women that he could find. People who are comfortable with their mouth and lips and nose jammed up his own asshole. That's who these people are. And in the process of their service to Donald Trump, they are enriching themselves and living luxuriously as they travel the country on taxpayer dollars. Watch this from Joe Neguse from Colorado.
Two of them were
That's
chosen.
inaccurate, Madam Secretary. I'll read from the notice from your agency. Given the immediate action to significantly reduce illegal immigration and border crossings, DHS identified 4 companies. 4 of the hundreds of thousands of companies in the United States, you identified 4. One of those is this Safe America Media company. Where is Safe America Media headquartered?
I don't know.
I don't know either, Madam Secretary. We can't find it. We can't find a website. We did find an address that's registered for this company. Do you know where that address is?
Is there a problem with this contract?
I'll
Because
tell you
it was
about
done
it.
according to
Madam
law.
Secretary,
It was done by career
address is
officials.
registered to a
It
political
was
operative.
dollars that were spent
Madam Secretary, the
to
company,
inform
and then
people
I'll give you an
that the
opportunity to
laws-
respond.
Hold
The company is registered to a political operative in Virginia. Do you know, just by way of example, whether this company that received $143 million in taxpayer dollars, has it ever done work for the government before?
I don't know. I can't.
The answer is it has not. And do you know why we know that? Because it was incorporated 8 days before this contract went out. You want the American people to believe that this is all above board?
Yes,
that $143 million of taxpayer money just happened to go to this one company that doesn't have a headquarters, doesn't have a website, has never done work for the federal government before, and is registered apparently or attached to a residence from a political operative. And of course, one of the subcontractors of that contract, as you know, is a political firm that's tied to you back when you were governor of South Dakota. The reason why I ask these questions is that this is taxpayer money. And I presume, I don't know this for a fact, but Senator Tillis noted yesterday the way in which your agency is blocking the Inspector General from 11 different investigations that it is trying to conduct. I don't know if this happens to be one of them. I certainly hope it is, because eventually the facts will become public in this regard.
Remarkable, talented on the part of that congressman. But let me say this. He didn't ask this. I don't know if this is in his head. What I would like to know, my question is how much of that money, how much of that $220 million or $143 million did you pocket? Are you going to benefit? If they can't find the address of these companies, and these companies were just incorporated literally hours before the bid went out, all of this stuff, KRISTI Noem, I'm not making accusations here, but I'll tell you this. Well, maybe I am making accusations. I don't know. I would not be surprised. It would not be like, oh my God, I can't believe it moment. If I was to find out she has some bank account somewhere offshore that is just filled to the brim with part of that money that she was able to shuffle to her assistants and her aides and her undersecretaries and her former colleagues and her campaign allies. And we're gonna find out. You know that, don't you, Kristi? You know, I know you're stupid. But even someone with the diminished cognition as you has to know that it's only a matter of time before we know what you did. And Donald Trump's going to die in his sleep in a matter of months. You're not going to have anybody to fucking protect you, sister. You think the spindly legs and the spindly armed and the little pencil neck Corey Lewandowski's going to save you? I don't think so. I don't think so. In the meantime, we have members of Congress like this who are skilled and up to the challenge to inform the American public of what is going on. Given me, people like me, with a slightly larger platform than the congressman, to also promote these ideas and our understanding of the reality on the ground. Anyway, what do you think? I invite you to this conversation. We can have it in the comments below the video if you brave the YouTube comment section or even on Facebook. You can also call the voicemail line 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily@dollemore.com.
As we gather in this house today, we pray for the peace of Jerusalem and the many Christians in Iran that will now be free to worship you in spirit and in truth.
For those of you who have been waiting for a bat phone to Jesus video, here it is. I missed one a month or so ago after our illegal attack on Venezuela, when Hank Kunneman went into his trance and was given a prophecy from God about how he was justified and God wanted America to have the oil from Venezuela. And I'm bummed that I missed it, but fear not. There are more evangelical grifter, liars, charlatans, weirdos, sycophants of Donald Trump who believe he has a prophetic mission from God. What is it? A prophetic instrument of God Donald Trump is. We're going to start with a guy who, when I was a child growing up in right-wing evangelical circles, thought was a mighty righteous man of God, John Hagee. John Hagee, with all of his prophecies about the blood moon shit and the Jesus coming back and all of the nonsense, he is here doing a weird service that is a promotion of Operation Epic Fury, promoting Donald Trump's illegal and unconstitutional war and painting it as though it is a righteous, God-ordained military action. And in this clip, I'm getting ready. This is a prophecy from God. After all, John Hagee must have his own bat phone to Jesus where God calls him and says, here's the deal. There's going to be earthquakes. There's going to be hailstones. There's going to be friendly fire, John. This is God telling you. There's going to be, and it's going to destroy Iran. It's not going to be the United States military that does it. No, Jesus told me it's going to be an earthquake. These fucking people. Watch this guy and also marvel at the fact that I was raised to believe he was the real deal.
As we gather in this house today, we pray for the peace of Jerusalem and the many Christians in Iran that will now be free to worship you in spirit and in truth. The Word of God commands us to pray for the peace of Jerusalem, for they shall prosper that love you. We thank you for the fabulous military victory over the enemies of Israel this week. The Bible says, he that keepeth Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. We thank you for our President, Donald Trump, whose wise courage has crushed the enemies of Zion. Today we rejoice in the prophetic scriptures of Ezekiel revealing God's Operation Fury for the enemies of Israel in the near future.
All right. I'm setting my watch, John. Mighty man of God. If God told you there's going to be an earthquake that destroys Iran, We can bank on it, right? Because God is God. Jesus, if he told you, there's no way to get around it. We're waiting. Watch set, clock set, timer set. Now, he's not the only one. Michelle Bachmann, former Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann, former presidential candidate for the Republican Party, current Trump sycophant and bootlicker, Michelle Bachmann, she tells you that God will bless us. There will be blessings upon America if we destroy Iran militarily. You know, Jesus is commonly known as the Prince of Peace. The Jesus that is in the rest of the canon of the Bible, in the rest of the minds of actual Christians, he's the Prince of Peace. The Lord of Lords and the Prince of Peace and all the different monikers that are attached to Jesus the Christ. Not for Michelle Bachmann. Apparently, he is the warlord who's going to give Donald Trump all of the blessings if we murder Iranians. Ugh, I wish I was joking. Watch this.
And so I commend Donald Trump. I commend Benjamin Netanyahu. I truly believe, Greg, maybe we can talk about that a little later, but I truly believe that God ordained these two men to be the leaders of those nations at this exact time for this exact purpose. We've all been given an opportunity to bless Israel. If we bless Israel, like I believe President Trump is doing now, then we will be blessed. I truly believe America is going to be blessed from this effort. And likewise, if we turn our back on Israel and curse them, then we're cursed as a nation. And the Bible bears that out. Again, there's only one criterion upon which nations are judged. That's how nations treat Zion. So at this moment, we have to do everything we can to ensure that President Trump has a House and a Senate that will work with him to advance peace and prosperity in America by being pro-Israel. So that's why the primary is extremely important.
Right. It's the golden age, but it's not just America's golden age. It's actually the golden age for the world.
These people. I mean, this is a pernicious, sinister flavor of Christianity. This is why Christian nationalism is so dangerous, so despotic, because there are so many versions of Christianity, so many interpretations of the Bible, so many translations and transliterations of the Bible. Which one do we pick? Which one is going to be the one to rule the United States? Which misinterpretation is going to be the one that we accidentally choose and then, oh shit, it's Handmaid's Tale time. She's not the only one. It's not just John Hagee. It's not just Michelle Bachmann. It's not even the people that I'm getting ready to show you. One more, which is Lance Wallnau. And he's the one who says that Donald Trump is a prophetic instrument of God Almighty. These fucking charlatans, these liars and grifters who are raking in cash, being paid to say these things, to indoctrinate and lie to a weak-minded congregation that is motivated in their reasoning to want to believe these things because they want to support Israel, only not because they have some love affair with the Jews or give a shit about the Jewish people. It's because if the prophecies that they think are going to happen come to pass, then Jesus will return and every knee shall bow and every tongue confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. And then we'll all get raptured away to heaven. It's fairy tale shit. Rapture theology did not come around until not even the mid 1800s, like 1833, 1830s, I think. But they want you to believe that this is, and by the way, this drives American foreign policy in a big way, in a bigger way now than it ever has. As long as Donald Trump can find a way to make money personally from it, he doesn't care, because I don't think he believes any of this nonsense. Here's Lance Wallnau talking about Donald Trump being a prophetic instrument of God.
I believe, and I got the news in a pretty good source, Donald Trump was really trying to offer an olive branch to them before this happened. He wanted the denuclearizing, uncompromising, and he wanted there to be a different policy regarding the protests and the people, the right of the people to not be harassed. And I think, if I want to be theological about it, I think the same way that God hardened Pharaoh's heart, God made the Iranians just recalcitrant. They refused to budge. And when Trump saw that they were not going to move and that there was no sense in delay, he went ahead and made the decision, as he always does. The Jewish people will be celebrating Purim this coming week. Isn't it interesting that the ancient stronghold of the Prince of Persia that sought to exterminate all the Jews is now coming down again under the authority of another modern day ruler who the prayers of God's people have been empowering, so that during their Feast of Purim, when they had a reversal of a destructive threat, we're watching that reversal happen again in our days. So things are happening right in alignment with actual feast days. By the way, Hamas attacked Israel on the October 11th was the first day of the Feast of Tabernacles. There's always a feast day manifestation because Israel and the return of Jesus is back on the menu.
He has an assignment to protect Israel, and then he spills the beans. And now the return of Jesus is back on the menu, as though it wasn't on the menu before. After all, if it is a prophecy in the Bible, it shouldn't matter. How could it have been taken off the menu? If it's been foretold in Scripture, it's going to happen, right? There's not enough that you can pray to make it not happen. There's not enough you can pray to make it happen quicker. It's on God's timeline. This is why, do I even have one of my stickers out here? I usually do. This is why I have the phone. And this is why I sell the sticker, to remind people of these charlatans and these grifters and these liars who claim to speak for God, who claim not only to speak for God, but they're a conduit where God speaks through them, literally speaks through them. Fucking weird liars who through religion can convince people to do horrible, horrible things. What do you think? I would really love to hear from evangelicals. I would really love to hear from people who buy into this nonsense, this easily verifiable lies from these people. And after all, that's why I started with John Hagee, because when the earthquake doesn't happen, he's going to make some other claim. Well, I wasn't talking about a literal earthquake. I was talking about a metaphorical earthquake or a spiritual earthquake. Mark my words. Mark my words. If he addresses the lie at all, that'll be what he says. Anyway, what do you think? I would appreciate your feedback here, especially if you're coming from this faith tradition. You can call the voicemail line 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. Call. I'm not going to pick up on this phone, but daily@dollemore.com is the email address. I love and appreciate you very much. I'll see you next time. Be genuine. Take care of one another.